Hello and welcome to CrossTalk, where all things are considered. I'm Peter Lavelle. The polls are tightening, as well as the growing investigation around the Clintons and their foundation. Days before the presidential election, voters are faced with an unprecedented dilemma. Will they vote for a candidate facing criminal prosecution? To CrossTalk, the upcoming presidential election, I'm joined by my guest, Michael Flanagan in Washington. He is president of Flanagan Consulting and a former congressman. Also in Washington, we have Debbie Hines. She's a legal analyst and a former prosecutor. And in Los Angeles, we cross to H.A. Goodman. He is a columnist and journalist published at the Huffington Post, Salon, The Hill, and other publications. All right, CrossTalk rules in effect. That means you can jump in anytime you want, and I always appreciate it. H.A., in Los Angeles, you're a hero because you got up earliest for this program, and I always reward the first question to the person that gets up earliest, so I'm going to go to you. H.A., we hear that through sources that the FBI may be thinking about indictments for Hillary Clinton and her circle possibly here. We have two major scandals on our hand, and we only have a few days out. This presents a possible constitutional crisis almost any way it works out. Go ahead in Los Angeles.
Well, essentially what Hillary Clinton did was she put 22 top-secret emails with special access program intelligence on a server that was unencrypted. So it was unencrypted for 3 months, according to Fortune magazine. She connected that server to a BlackBerry the NSA said she could not use. Then she deleted 30,000 emails by keyword searches. She had no right to do that. She broke State Department guidelines and rules. The initial FBI probe, there are two FBI probes. There's an FBI probe going on right now where Brett Baer says that it's almost certain, or there's very likely, of an indictment, perhaps even before the election. So what's taking place is that, number one, nobody asked why Hillary Clinton had the server. Everyone says, well, it was convenient, or she said it was convenient. Everyone believes that. Obviously, that's not the excuse. That's not the real reason. The real reason was to hide from Freedom of Information Act laws. In doing so, jeopardizing national security. It's almost certain, according to Defense Secretary Robert Gates, that Russia, China, Iran, and other nations have hacked into her server. We know from the Brett Baer report just last night that 5 nations are said to have hacked into her private server. This is a person who you would never want as Secretary of State again. Nobody would say, yes, let's have Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State once again, because we had an FBI criminal investigation. Now we have another FBI criminal investigation linked to 650,000 emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop.
Okay. We'll get to that later. Okay, let me go to Debbie here. Debbie, how do you react to all of this here? Because we had an investigation that was seemingly closed, now is reopened, and now all of this material coming out about the Clinton Foundation. And at the same time, again, there are different reports. There's a revolt going on inside the FBI itself because of the way the Justice Department has handled these various affairs. Go ahead, Debbie, in Washington.
Yes, Peter. I mean, I think that all of this is much ado about nothing. FBI Director Comey in July cleared Secretary Clinton of any wrongdoing, said that although it was not done the way it should have been done, it may have been sloppily done. Obviously, she should not have had emails on a private server. But that's not the legal standard that you look at. It's whether she did anything intentional or willful in that regard, anything criminal. It's a different standard than if you did something negligent, which is on the civil side, which has nothing to do with a criminal prosecution. And in that regard, FBI Director, Comey said in July, it wasn't even a close call. She didn't do anything wrong.
Well,
and so now
he didn't say that. Debbie, he didn't say
yes,
that.
That is exactly, that is exactly what he meant.
No, when he went in front of, now let's clear the air here. Let's clear the air here. When he was interrogated by the Congress after he made that decision there, they went through everything that he said in his statement to the public, and he said that she had done many things wrong, that there were classified items there, and what she did was very intentional, setting up a server with the intention of not allowing people to see what she was doing. And we had President Obama has lied about it as well. Okay, we'll keep debating here. Let me get Michael here.
But
okay, Michael, you've heard a lot so far. Hang on, let me get the third guest on before we do this, okay? Let's just be fair. Michael in Washington, you've already heard a lot here. React, go ahead.
Whatever Mr. Comey may or may not have said in July is not really at issue now. What is important is that new information has come to light. 650,000 emails from Anthony Weiner's laptop have shown up that nobody thought would be there. You have a whole new ball game, as we say, baseball in Chicago, go Cubs. So you have a prima facie, a sua generis issue here, and the issue is she's toast. They've got her dead to rights, top to bottom, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. When you then layer in the Clinton Foundation criminal schemes there, this whole crime family is going to collapse on itself here very soon. And the question is, will it be before the election or after the election, and what will the president do about that?
Okay, H.A. in Los Angeles, do you want to react to that? Because there could be a constitutional, certainly a political crisis if indictments are made before the election and even after. She still will be subject to that if they find the findings to go that way. Go ahead, H.A. in Los Angeles.
Well, when you talk about the constitutional crisis, it's very important to note, I speak every week to a very powerful progressive voice named Tim Black, and we talk about the fact that progressives, so we're voting for Dr. Jill Stein, but the fact that progressives, independents, conservatives all know that Hillary Clinton is guilty because the intent that James Comey couldn't find, obviously she's not stupid. So Hillary Clinton, the whole campaign propaganda is she's ready from day one. She's ready from day one. She knows politics. She's been in the spotlight for decades. She will protect this country. If she's ready from day one, then she knew protocol. According to the FBI report, she blamed her concussion for not remembering security briefings. According to the FBI report, she didn't even know what the C meant. And another thing, according to the FBI report, Bill Clinton's aides actually shipped a laptop in the mail. UPS, FedEx, we don't know. These are the outlandish issues pertaining to Hillary Clinton. So it's always some kind of bizarre, weird scandal. In terms of the Clinton Foundation, 85 donors gave $156 million. The quid pro quo was access. WikiLeaks emails show there's 500 conflicts of interest. In terms of WikiLeaks emails, Donna Brazile lost her job, Debbie Wasserman Schultz lost her job, 4 other Democratic officials lost their jobs. So the WikiLeaks emails are authentic, genuine, and they show massive corruption in the Clinton campaign and especially the Clinton Foundation. All of this stems directly towards the Clinton Foundation. It's essentially a money laundering vehicle by which they derive immense political power. So the Clinton campaign, initially, there was 3 FBI field offices that wanted to investigate the Clinton Foundation. They were blocked by the DOJ. Now the Clinton Foundation is being investigated, and it's linked directly to the email scandal because those 30,000 emails she deleted almost certainly have to deal with the Clinton Foundation. The intent was she deleted the emails she did not want people to know. The intent regarding the Espionage Act is that in hiding her emails, she jeopardized national security and she removed top secret information and special access program intelligence from secure government networks. She found a way with Pagliano and others to rewire existing networks.
All right, let me jump in. I want equal time for everybody here. Debbie, I am pretty sure how you're going to react to all this, but a lot of people would say that everything we just heard from Los Angeles, from H.A., that any other person accused of this would be in very serious trouble. But in this case, it's Hillary Clinton. Somehow it's different. And this is one of the perceptions people have of Hillary Clinton. The Clintons are above the law. Go ahead and react. Go ahead.
Okay, here's the real problem with Hillary Clinton and with the Clintons. And let me just be clear, I was a reluctant Hillary Clinton supporter, but I am a Hillary Clinton supporter in that regard. But one of the things that's caused her problems in terms of trustworthiness and where we are today is that the Clintons like to kind of sort of walk a very narrow rope, so to speak. And in that regard, what I mean is that they are on the side of the law. She's not going to be indicted. However, the things that she's done just makes it look sloppy. It makes it look like, oh, you were really trying to cut corners there that in essence are going to turn out to be criminal. And everything that H.A. is saying, that may be his own opinion, but that is not what the FBI is saying. And all these leaks are very suspicious anyway that are going on. No, it is not fact. Until the FBI comes out and says that they're recommending to the Justice Department that they indict, there's not going to be any indictment.
All right,
and the other real problem problem with what, can I finish my point, H.A.? The other real problem that's going on is that the Justice Department has had a long-term guideline that's been going on between Democrats as well as Republicans that basically says that when it's 60 days out from an election, that the Justice Department, of which the FBI falls under the jurisdiction, is not to do anything that would impact an election. And that is exactly what FBI Comey is trying to do with all these innuendos and putting everything out and trying to say that there might be something, there is something.
What Debbie is talking about,
Debbie's
talking about the Hatch Act here. Okay, Michael, but I'd like to react to what H.A. was saying. I mean, that's not his opinion. These are basically agreed to facts here, and it's coming from the FBI that seems to be at war with the Justice Department here. It's Loretta Lynch that is the problem here, and I think the more we get into this, the more we're going to see that she has been a barrier to investigations. Go ahead, Michael.
I'll tell you, Debbie, I love you because you're a good soldier and you're doing your best today, but you have an untenable position. She has muddied the waters for her future and the future of the Democratic Party in a way that's not going to be recovered quickly. I'm from Chicago. I have made my political life, my whole life, among liberals. And the one great thing I've always admired about progressives, about real liberals, is that the only thing they detest more than conservative Republicans are dishonest politicians. And you're seeing that now with the progressives. They're just stepping back saying, I just can't do this. She's just too much of a stain on our party and on where we want to go. And this is the problem with the Clintons. I was in Congress in the 90s, and with the endless scandals that come from them. And it's when you own the prosecutorial forces like Janet Reno and the others, you can avoid this, and you can step quietly around the issue, not by saying she's innocent, but by saying the Hatch Act says you're not allowed to talk about it.
Gentlemen,
what an incredibly weak
and
read
lady,
to
I
lean
have
on.
to jump in here.
This
We're going to a short break, and after that short break, we'll continue our discussion on some of the burning issues facing voters. Stay with our team. Welcome back to CrossTalk, where all things are considered. I'm Peter Lavelle. To remind you, we're discussing the Clinton scandals before the election. Okay, H.A. back in Los Angeles. My gut feeling is that there's going to be some kind of indictment. The FBI is just so furious about how all of this has been handled over the last half year or so. But there is the very interesting prospect that Obama could pardon Clinton if something like that were to happen, and he could do it for a lot of variety of reasons that I wouldn't agree with, and you probably wouldn't either. But there is this prospect out there. What do you think about that?
I think that President Obama would pardon Hillary Clinton because he's implicated in everything. There's a WikiLeaks email dated March 7th where Cheryl Mills states very clearly in the WikiLeaks email, President Obama he has emails from Hillary Clinton. They do not say state.gov. So the big difference between Condoleezza Rice or Colin Powell or anyone else and Hillary Clinton is that everyone else had a state.gov, and they never put special access program intelligence on an unencrypted private server. Exclusive use. She did this to hide. Hillary Clinton is not naive, and she's not stupid. She's brilliant, and she did it for a purpose. This is the problem. The issue with President Obama knowing is that he stated to the American public that he did not know. Of course he knew. We have the WikiLeaks emails showing that he knew. We also have the WikiLeaks email on March 2nd where John Podesta says, hey, we got to dump these emails. In addition to that, we have the DOJ sending information through Brian Fallon to the Clinton campaign. We have State Department, Justice Department official. One Justice Department official went to college with John Podesta. That's in another WikiLeaks email. So the whole thing is a giant fiasco, a big scandal, because one issue with this whole situation is that the Clinton campaign says, well, Hillary Clinton is ready from day one. Then everyone defends every single scandal she's a part of, saying, well, she didn't mean to do it. Well, how on earth could you be ready from day one and just say, oh, it was a mistake, the server was a mistake? There's 2 FBI criminal investigations for a reason, and there's a Clinton Foundation corruption scandal for a reason. There's too much money going into the Clinton Foundation. There's obvious quid pro quo, and in terms of the intent needed to indict, again, to believe Hillary Clinton, you would have to believe that she does not know the law, that she is just completely ignorant of protocol, and that she's stupid. She's obviously very intelligent. President Obama said she was wicked smart. Therefore, there is intent to do what she intentionally did,
all right,
which was rewire existing State Department networks.
Let me let Debbie in Washington, D.C. That was a lot to hear. Go ahead. React to it, Debbie. Go ahead.
That was a lot. Okay. There are several things that a president can do, a pardon or a commutation. A commutation is when a person is already serving a sentence. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but I think that a pardon can only occur, number one, not just a person being indicted, but a person actually being convicted of a crime. And that is where most of the pardons really do occur. Right now, there's tons and tons and tons of people, hundreds if not thousands,
Richard Nixon was never convicted. Richard Nixon was never convicted, but he was pardoned, okay? The president can do that. And the president does not even have to explain.
I doubt if we're even going to get we're working with a very tight schedule. Let me tell you how it works in the real prosecutorial world. The FBI director doesn't just bring an indictment. It has to go before a grand jury. There is not enough time between now, what happens, and January, whatever date it is that the new president, hopefully Hillary Clinton, is installed into office. There is not enough time for all of that
can call a grand jury right now. He can call it right now.
Grand jury but they have to hear and see all of that evidence. They don't just go on the word of the FBI director. They have to. I have done grand jury work. It doesn't work the way the media is presuming that it works.
I know how the law works.
Much longer process. Even with the grand jury process, when there were the police killings in this country, they took like 3 months just to come out with the conclusion.
In Washington, let me go to Mike. Come on, don't filibuster. Debbie, please don't filibuster. Don't filibuster, okay? Let's not do that. Michael, let me go to you. I mean, a grand jury could be called at this moment if they have the evidence for an indictment. No, it's not about time. It's about a strategy. And apparently, there is enough evidence right there and a strategy to move forward. Now, I don't know if it's going to be before or after the election, but I got a pretty good idea it's going to happen one way or another, and it's going to be before Inauguration Day. Go ahead, Michael.
Richard Nixon was elected carrying 49 states and was out of office 18 months later. And shortly after that, Gerald Ford pardoned him. He was never indicted. There was never a grand jury. There was never a conviction. He was pardoned for any acts, past, present, or future. And it cost Gerald Ford the election a few years later to Jimmy Carter because many people thought Nixon should have gone through the process that Debbie has so clearly discussed. Mr. Obama could pardon Hillary Clinton this afternoon for anything she's ever done in her life or ever will do. And I believe that if she is elected, he will do that the next day. And that's because he wants to save a constitutional crisis and protect his legacy and to protect the Democratic Party. And he believes that in 4 years, the Democrats will forgive him for having done that. I think he'll permanently tarnish his legacy by doing that. The nation will not forgive that happening, and Mrs. Clinton will have an absolutely fractured, destroyed presidency because of it. She is crippled. There is no way that she can successfully serve 4 years, whether she's indicted, whether she's pardoned, whether she's convicted or not. Sure. And the progressives have the point on this is that, and Doug Schoen said it best. He said, whatever you think of her, however you want to support her, she's crippled, and she cannot serve, and we must find someone else.
Okay, but H.A., if I can go back to you in Los Angeles, they're not going to find somebody else, and she's not going to step away. So this is a train wreck about to happen. Go ahead.
Well, we learned from the DNC WikiLeaks emails that Bernie Sanders was cheated. Bernie Sanders defeated Donald Trump by over 10 points. He didn't have the scandals. He had a very, very powerful progressive base, independents, even conservatives. He stood for something. He stood for ideals and a very bold, powerful message. Debbie Wasserman Schultz lost her job at the DNC because she cheated Bernie Sanders. We learned that from WikiLeaks, and then directly worked for Clinton's campaign. So in terms of Hillary Clinton, at this point right now, FBI Director James Comey has to save this country. We cannot have a president who could serve jail time going into the presidency. If there's a risk, the FBI director should have indicted Hillary Clinton when he had the chance. Now there's a second criminal probe. If he doesn't find anything, yes, there'll be a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth. The issue with Hillary Clinton is that when you talk about the nature of technology, there's 650,000 emails. Anthony Weiner, we know over 6 women he sent photos to from a laptop and from a computer system that Uma Abedin owned that was connected in some way to Hillary Clinton's private server. So when you just talk about the nature of technology, there's a million things that could go wrong. Then you have the Clinton Foundation, where Bill Clinton said, oh, well, if Hillary's elected, we won't take foreign donations. Well, that's an admission of guilt right there. Why would you not take foreign donations if she's elected, but continue to take foreign donations before she's elected? The issue with Hillary Clinton is not only that she's corrupt and not trustworthy, it's that when she's caught, defenders say, well, it was a mistake, she didn't know. When she wants votes, then defenders say, well, she's ready from day one, she's better than anyone else, she knows politics, and she's a great leader. You can't have it both ways. The issue with James Comey is that he has, 5 days to save this country from not only a constitutional crisis, becoming a laughingstock in the world. The entire planet is going to laugh at us if our president is either indicted or at risk of indictments in the Oval Office. So I just hope that the FBI does the right thing.
All right.
Just last night, there were reports that state that the Clinton Foundation and indictments are going to happen. They're very likely. So let's hope
Debbie,
Director Comey does the right thing.
Debbie, what can Hillary Clinton do now? I mean, because she is suffering in the polls, but doesn't necessarily mean she's going to lose. There's still the swing states there. I mean, how is her campaign going to be able to react to this, or are they just going to go silent and just wait for the election?
I think what Hillary Clinton's campaign is doing is what that should be done, which is getting out the vote. I doubt very seriously if there will absolutely be any indictments. I just think that's a lot of the media buzz that's making a lot of this out. And in terms of being ready on day one, we have a choice in this country of electing a person that is more than qualified, who, yes, will be ready on day one, or a person who will make us the laughingstock of the entire world in the name of Donald Trump, who doesn't understand our Constitution, who doesn't understand our democracy, who doesn't understand
how can you be more than qualified with 2 criminal investigations?
Who is against African Americans, who is against Latinos, who is against gays.
I think Hillary might understand the Constitution too well, because she bends it for her own use and value.
That is what will make us the laughingstock of this world, not Hillary Clinton being elected.
Okay. Oh, I think this election makes the whole world laugh at America. Okay, I know I'm standing outside looking in. Michael, how do you assess the media's coverage in the United States of the 2 candidates before we go?
To borrow a word, deplorable. I think it's an industry run by the very young and owned by the very old. And I think that they don't have the ability to have the breadth of experience or time to do their job well. The media has largely become an arm of the entertainment business, and younger people are pretty people, and pretty people build ratings, and ratings sell soap, and that is, of course, the value of television, is not about bringing news to the viewer, but about selling soap. And so I think the media has been just god-awful. Additionally, and it's the media on the right or the left, it's the same. They have a point of view. And I'll tell you, years and years ago, you used to have Republican newspapers, Democratic newspapers, Republican radio stations, Democratic news stations. And when you say out loud and up front, this is my point of view and I'm sharing it with you, and if you don't like it, go buy a different newspaper, I'm actually in favor of that. I think that's fine. It's this pretense at independence, at fairness, at we're all going, I'm going to give you both sides, and then never give you the other side at all is really appalling. I talk to friends in Chicago all the time who live in an information vacuum. It's like a gulag. It's like a totalitarian state. And you tell them things that we all know and understand, and they're like, where did you hear that? I'm like, how did you not hear this?
Well,
and the answer is they're
welcome.
buried alive
okay, we've run
in
out
a
of
media
time.
vacuum.
But Michael, welcome to my world. That happens to me all the time. Many thanks to my guests in Washington and in Los Angeles. And thanks to our viewers for watching us here at RT. See you next time. And remember, CrossTalk rules.
Sorry to interrupt.